going on, people of YouTube? We have once again returned to bring you into somewhere for our review of Monday Night Raw. My name is Jake, aka Countdown Ended. Hopefully you're all doing well tonight for this beautiful. It was beautiful outside this Monday. We got lucky with that. As always, I come to you and into somewhere not alone. I bring you my work husband, the other one, the man, myth, the legend himself, Cody O'Needy 316. What's going on, my friend?
What's going on? What a Raw we had tonight. A lot of storylines advanced.
This was a
Grande
really good
Americano
show.
is going to Money in the Bank.
He's apparently
Not Chad Gable.
Yeah, he's working twice that day, according to Michael Cole. But I think he might have had a stroke, you know, after having to wear that tank top throughout the night,
like,
not the jersey. Little.
On my
misleading,
calculations, he's only working once. El Grande Americano.
That's
and
what
Chad
I
Gable's
thought.
Only working once too.
Exactly, but they got us going good today by putting out the two qualifying matches, letting us know that we're going to go ahead and see CM Punk, AJ Styles, and the return of El Grande Americano. To go ahead and get out there, I was like, holy hell, that itself is great. And then they also decided to say, oh yeah, by the way, Stephanie Vaquer, she signed to Raw, and she's going to go ahead and debut right away. So, wow, crazy. Without much fanfare going into it, they just basically came through. And they're like, guess what? Here's what's going on in a couple hours. It's going to be good. This is our go-home show. And without really any announcements, they added a tag team match later in the day that we got between the Bronson, Reed, and Braun Breaker, taking on Sami Zayn and Jey Uso, getting a hero's welcome there. That was a great moment for those two coming out like true badasses coming through the crowd. I'm glad they still have somebody coming through the audience always. You know, once Roman wasn't doing it anymore and he went heel, you got to get somebody else to do it. It's just a fun thing to have happen. I feel like everybody loves that, you know, get that much closer to the superstars. That's for sure, though. We'll see if Cody can be heard. You there, my friend, or did we lose you again?
Muted again for whatever reason. It's weird.
Yeah. Hey, no, at least I know. I felt like you were trying to talk. I felt your presence here. I was like, he's saying something. Is he saying something great? Like the introduction we got tonight? Holy hell. This was a personal coded message to our show, especially, and I'll tell you why in a second.
Hearing everybody go absolutely banana.
Banana indeed.
Special.
See? So now, did you notice Punk tonight telling everybody, you know, going absolutely not bananas. And he did point out the people wearing the Banana Army, you know, headgear in the crowd. So thanks to you guys, totally taking credit for that one. But hearing Punk giving us a shout out, he didn't say bananas, going bananas. No, he said banana. So he's a part of the Banana Army.
So he knows what's up. He knows our show.
Banana.
He knows what's up. Absolutely. So shout out to CM Punk, now friend of the show. We
The crowd
appreciate
knows
it.
what's up too.
He shouted out other podcasts before, you know, he shouted out Cornette amongst others. So it's not out of the realm of possibility. We're just going to go ahead and pretend like it's for us, though, Cody. Absolutely.
Speaking about what's up, though,
it's all into yeah, the crowd was chanting what's up with letting go of R-Truth. I talked about this a bit yesterday before you and I released our third episode of Guilty or Guilt-Free. So everybody's got to make sure they go ahead and check that out. We went ahead and covered the feud between Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan. Who's actually guilty or guilt-free indeed between those two former WrestleMania tag team, you know, participants, but can't say winners, unfortunately. That's what happens. So this tonight was a great episode of Raw. I felt like a really good go-home episode as well. They built very well towards Money in the Bank. There seems to be only 4 matches as of right now, unless they announce something else on SmackDown. I'm not sure. Maybe they do something with the women's titles over there. Zelina Vega, anybody? It would be certain for sure. On the SmackDown side, I mean, they do have a really solid women's division, but I feel like their better parts are being used already in the Money in the Bank ladders match. So I got to see what else they can add to this show. But And, the 6-man team with Braun and James. Yeah, it seems like eventually we'll get that, Punk, Jay, and Sammy. Maybe at Night of
versus
Champions, in Saudi if
then
they
you
make
get a
Punk
fourth
go.
member revealed maybe.
And
I don't think
exactly.
Punk will work Saudi Arabia. I don't know if he will or not. Though.
Probably not, but we'll see what happens. They could always do it before
Is that true?
SummerSlam.
Off topic. Speaking about all this stuff going on with WWE,
Yes.
as we mentioned with R-Truth, I saw your tweet on Twitter about the Miz. Did
Yeah,
his
that was, at that point in time true. So he went ahead and had removed basically everything to do with WWE from his bio, and it still stands that way right now. The most must-read Twitter account of all time. Watch all seasons of Ms. and Mrs. streaming on Peacock.
because I saw something from Fightful as well. We have news on the Miz coming up.
Yeah, so I worry that I made a joke, kind of in a way being like, "Oh, hope Miz isn't next," but it makes you worry about, well, who else is in that kind of ilk? Is it
I was
Sheamus?
talking with some people though. People were like, "The Miz sucks" and stuff. I'm like, you can discredit all his wrestling abilities or whatever. That still doesn't change the fact that he should be a WWE lifer.
Yeah. See, I'm actually on the opposite, Anthony Brooks. I thought it was a good Raw overall. Maybe I'm too many, deep in the Happy Pill contemporary, but I don't know. I actually thought it was a good Raw. They delivered a good build towards Money in the Bank, surprisingly. But you don't know who's next, as you said, and that is worrisome because someone that was thought to be a lifer would of all people, yeah, you're right. Of all people sparking a nuclear backlash, it's R-Truth, but he is one of the most beloved and for a great reason. Who else? He always felt like he was having ultimate job security. You always heard how much Vince loved R-Truth, but you have to be reminded it's not Vince McMahon's WWE anymore. It's not even WWE anymore. It's TKO. That's the problem. So I think you're muted again, friend. But it went ahead and it it gave us a hard time, unfortunately, with Discord the other day too. Let's see if I do it that way. I unmuted you. Let's see if you could be heard now. If it doesn't want to give you a hard time, we'll strangle this thing. But yeah, Cody, I'm telling you, I am concerned because Truth
Is it
seemed
working?
like, yeah, there you go. Truth seemed like he was going ahead and going to be there forever. He was going to get into some type of backstage role, maybe in creative, maybe in as a producer, something. But I felt like he would be a WWE lifer, and instead, he's gone. And in such a short-sighted way, too, to know that they're not going to renew his contract, but not plan something. They could have really done a proper send-off as well. John Cena's going to ruin wrestling. The only thing they could maybe do is have Cena go out there and be like, "Oh, I got R-Truth fired. That's what you get for copying me." Like that maybe gets Cena some heat, and that saves it a minute fraction, but overall, not much,
Uh,
honestly.
well, I went on a rant about the Miz and R-Truth thing. Don't get it twisted. I don't like Vince McMahon. I'm not defending Vince McMahon, but under Vince McMahon, I don't think R-Truth or the Miz would be leaving WWE at all
Yeah,
because they were both
I don't think
Vince
so
McMahon
either.
guys. And
And it
I
seemed like uh, it seemed like there were some indispensable people, honestly. That's really what it
yeah.
seemed like. Like, hey, no
See,
matter
the
what,
only
these people will
way I
be
would
there.
want Vince, which wouldn't happen, and no, I don't want Vince to buy back WWE, but like the only way I would want him to purchase it if he agreed to just give it to Stephanie and Triple H and still right off into the sunset. That's the
Yeah.
only way I would want it because let's be honest, TKO people are gonna say we're ridiculous because of the Vince allegations, but I think TKO is worse for WWE than it being owned by the McMahons.
I kind of say you might be onto something, honestly. I mean, TKO has been
And
a
again,
huge disappointment, but
that's not defending Vince. People will twist the words and stuff. Oh my God, you want Vince back? No,
I mean,
I do not.
overall, look if you
But
look at what's going on since TKO got lucky last year because they tried to give us something we didn't want, and the fans reacted in such a unanimous, outcrying way against, the "We Want Cody" movement was heard worldwide, and they were like, "Oh crap, we have to fix this." So they lucked out with 2 nights of WrestleMania that had a great throughput because of the story that fell into their laps with the final boss heel version of The Rock. And then we get to this year's WrestleMania, and I don't know, it certainly wasn't as good as it could have been. It really wasn't, and a lot of things felt delayed or short-sighted or forgotten about or just totally unnecessary,
Do you
unfortunately.
think these chants bring back R-Truth?
No. I think it's
Do you think
just
TKO is too scummy? See,
I
that's
I
another
I
thing. If it was owned
yeah.
by the McMahons and you got those chants, I think that would be like, all right, we might have to
They might have
resign
had
them.
yeah, because they've done this before with certain people where they let them go, then they bring them back so many months later, and it's like but in the TKO era, it feels different. It feels
These
really
people are
less
scummy,
personal.
and people are like, fuck TKO, but we don't want Vince purchasing it. That's way worse. I think, again, I'm not defending Vince, but I think WWE is better off under the McMahons'
I
hands.
mean,
I don't
inside
know if you agree or disagree, but
well, I think maybe not the McMahons, but even how it was under Triple H shortly before the TKO era began, and what we're seeing now is there's like, oh well, he has final say, but he doesn't. You know, Ari Emanuel
that's
and The
why I would
Rock and others have final say,
that's
really.
why I would rather the McMahon family purchase it back and then Vince just retires completely still. That's the only way I
Yeah.
would want it. Then Triple H can fully control it.
I mean, I bet you the women feel better not having to worry about Vince behind every corner,
Yeah,
you know?
yes. That's better.
There's gotta be
That's definitely better.
something to it, but at least
I
it's
think that's
there has to be,
definitely
like,
better.
some quid pro quo there, certainly, but at least there was something productive that happened in the sense of, like,
That's why I
"Hey,
said
you earned your
that's why I
spot."
said the only thing.
Yeah.
That's why I kept repeating myself on the whole. I want Vince to retire after he purchases it and just give it back to his family. Maybe just do one
He's
more
not
good
gonna
deed
buy it.
for your
It's
family.
not gonna happen. There's such a
He doesn't even have enough money. I just
even
don't
if
want to under
he doesn't
endeavor.
have enough at this
Uh,
point. The way they're tiered in with UFC and everything else that they have going on, you're not gonna see that at all,
I just don't
unfortunately.
want to with endeavor because oh my god, it just
Vince
looks
isn't
like a
gonna
corporate
start a
fest.
new company. He's not gonna go ahead and really go ahead and probably have any public, presence at all whatsoever, I feel like. We're not gonna see him again
Well,
for
he shouldn't. He shouldn't.
quite some
That's
time. The only time I imagine we'll see him is if, he ends up being guilty or maybe guilt-free, you know? And as I said before, I have to check out episode
that's an
3.
episode coming out.
Absolutely. I mean, we are gonna talk about the crimes of Vince McMahon. I'd rather watch Marilyn Manson fillet himself than watch Lyra wrestle this Saturday. So we will get to that, and I do want to discuss Lyra's promo tonight because the fans were just whatting her. She tried to show a bit of rage, a bit of anger, and at first I was like telling Becky to shut up, but then it felt very contrived and forced, and Becky almost feels slightly right, or at least vindicated in the way that she feels with oh, you cost me the tag team titles and you cost my chance at Money in the Bank. It's like, what did I cost you? You know, Bailey? Oh, someone that held you back, basically. Like, with me, you won, but you're the loser. So it shone a very poor light on Lyra, I feel like, tonight. She didn't look great there. And then with the fans wanting her, that was a little hard to tolerate as well, yeah, so main event had the graps. What's going on, Ryan the Heels? We're hanging in there. At least we're here, we're live. We'll be live this Wednesday with Into Somewhere Weekly, covering NXT and giving you our predictions for what's going on this weekend. And we'll let you know what's going on for the weekend streams as well. We'll see what's happening. But we're gonna break down Raw. It's June 2nd, 2025, live on Netflix from Tulsa, Oklahoma at the BOK Center. Hopefully everybody's being okay. They had a pretty cool opening. CM Punk makes his entrance, and the crowd absolutely explodes to see this man come out every time, every place. It's great. He cuts a really good promo, as always.
Hearing everybody go absolutely banana.
Punk went ahead and he gets the crowd going, you know, and then Sami Zayn comes out, and I think he put in a little bit of doubt. Is he going to interfere in Punk's match? Some people wondered. I saw some some quick discussion online about that. Maybe that would be the time that Sami Zayn turns, because he's like, if Punk were to win the title, then I would meet you face to face again, but we'd be having a different conversation. And it was good, but
Sammy was out there playing some cheerleader. I don't know
yeah, it was
why, but
productive. It made two things important here. It made Punk's Money in the Bank qualifier really feel important. Like he needs this. He's done it before. If he gets the briefcase, he wants gold. The summer of Punk, he wants to be a champion. This needs to
right.
happen. But Sammy coming out was more of the narrative. Hey, you're not champion. You've been beaten down time and time again. You keep losing. Look at what you're doing. You're not accomplishing anything. And it does have a great narrative throughput, throughout the night. Obviously, we see them in their tag match. Then he's caught up with Karrion Kross again. I want more from Karrion still. I enjoy what we're getting, but it's not enough, selfishly. But I will say this. Punk is damn good. He riled everybody up in the audience, made things feel important. So it was productive. Wasn't the best, promos of their lives, certainly, but it wasn't boring either. Then we get Liv Morgan coming out. They're going to have their qualifier. And then they have Stephanie's new entrance, basically. It's still the same theme, but they started off with this crazy lightning, fire, pyro combination. I don't know if you caught that, but it looks great. I'm wondering how many weeks in a row they'll be toying with this to like they did with Penta.
What did they do? I
with her
missed it, maybe.
entrance. So when she first came out, when her music hits now, she has like a lightning crash effect that hits, and then the pyro basically comes in and explodes up with fire. It's very cool.
Oh, that's a nice new effect,
Yeah.
I like.
Oh, absolutely. It looked great because she's already had all the smoke with the red lights, but this is a main event star on an actual main roster. She just feels like $1 million here. They had a great promo package showing, who she is, what she's all about, and they've done a great job
I like
already
that
introducing
video
her.
package a lot, though.
Yeah, so if anybody's just watching tonight, people don't watch every week. Hey, this is who she is, this is what she's done, this is what she's about, and this is what she's accomplished. She's the latest signing from NXT. You've seen NXT women be great before. She's going to be the next great thing.
They kind of wanted to let you know this is the next top star of the women's division because they had to push her to the moon right away. They already had her in the Money in the Bank match. Who knows?
Yeah.
She could even win the match.
She could.
And she's doing double duty on Saturday. So
exactly. She's working twice as she's taking on dailies and Chic Tormenta. And she's going to be teaming with Lola Vice. So that'll be a lot of fun. Chad's taking on Vikingo.
Only one that's working.
Only one. But, El Grande later qualifies for the Money in the Bank ladder match. So that
a lot of people were arguing that Stephanie Vaquer wouldn't win the women's qualifying match tonight because she has a match at Worlds Collide. I'm like, but she's done double duty before. So
yeah, she has. I don't think she minds. Exactly. So this match, like I said, the entrance was great enough, but Ivy Nile came out in the commercial break. They went ahead and they started off with Nile just doing like massive double German suplexes to everybody. And eventually Stephanie gets the devil's kiss, goes ahead and lays it into Liv at first. And then while she's hitting Ivy, Liv breaks it up and has the huge evil smile. Eventually they did a really cool like Tower of Doom / triples like suplex powerbomb spot with Ivy at the bottom. That was great. They got a bunch of "This is awesome" chants from the fans. Eventually I give them a ton of credit here because you had Stephanie and you had Ivy kind of going back and forth, and she was trying to set her up with like almost like the eat defeat kind of move where she's got her foot in her face. And then that's when Stephanie sees Liv on the turnbuckle. She turns her attention. Liv comes down and does the double code breaker. Why is this great? Because these two were preoccupied. They weren't standing there, like pigeons ready for slaughter. They were preoccupied, and then she took advantage of the moment. It felt very natural. And then you saw both Ivy Nile try to steal a win, and Liv breaks it up in a really, really close near fall. That was good for her. As Pat said, that was her moment, and she just saw it fade away. But We go
Yeah.
ahead and eventually we get back into the ring, and that's after Ivy slams Liv's head on the ring steps, in which she gets busted open later on in the same spot. Funny enough. So poor girl having a rough night, but
Every time that Liv Morgan encounters Io, she's going to bleed. I think
she's getting
that's
busted open. Io hits hard, yeah. And they go ahead. I wonder if it was slightly open from the stair spot. You know, she did a perfect landing with her hand. You never know though. Maybe she put a lot into it, but it looked great. Then Stephanie hits the SVB on Ivy Nile, excuse me, and gets the pinfall. Really, really good action-packed triple threat here. Stephanie looks like a
the only
million
thing.
bucks.
The only thing that I would have maybe changed. I know we discussed this before, but is the story between Roxanne, Raquel, and Liv. I would have, if Liv was going to lose anyway, well, not get pinned, but like she should have been distracted by Raquel again or something. I feel
I
like
do
that
think
could
they're
have
getting to
built up.
that. See, I think they're building towards that, especially with the way they had the continuing narrative of Roxanne being a thorn in Liv's side and everybody else being like, "What are you talking about? She's great. We all love her."
And
So the
again, if you saw in that
gaslighting and
backstage segment before Liv came out for the match, like once Liv walked away from Raquel and Roxanne, they immediately started
yeah, they
talking to each other.
immediately
Like,
kind of had that back and forth. So I think there's something to it, but I don't know if Stephanie's going to win at Money in the Bank. I'm not so sure, and I think her also doing double duty might play into it in storyline wise. But with Julia being in the match, I have a feeling that their grudge they might end up kind of being, you know, like two magnets, you know, the irresistible force. You just
uh,
can't get them to pull apart that
who do
thing.
you think's
So
going to win? Do we have?
I'm not sure yet because we're still missing one of the women on SmackDown this week. There's still one more spot. So
So
right, you
maybe
know, it's
we do a predictions video.
that's gonna happen Wednesday, indeed, on Into Somewhere Weekly, my friend.
So we'll probably just have to predict
The
the
women's a little
wait.
bit ahead of time, but
There's one more qualifier. I thought everyone's in
nope,
it now.
there's one more qualifier. So we have all 6 of the men, and then we have 5 of the women now. So let's see here. Yes, indeed. Hold on. Let me go ahead and pull up as they have El Grande Americano qualifies for Money in the Bank. Gotta love it, you know? Gotta love it. Go ahead and grab that quick because it's a great image that they went ahead and made sure to include. But yeah, all in all, I'm impressed with Stephanie's, you know, what she started out there and how she went ahead and just got the crowd behind her. She was really good. She again shows why she's just that damn excellent. I have enjoyed everything they've given us with her so far on NXT and the main roster. They did a really good job. Again, you know, again, they introduced her with the package, but they've also shown her for several weeks now since Mania. Hey, this is who she is. This is what she's about. This is what we're getting from her. So I really love that Stephanie's getting this kind of accelerated push. I don't know if she's got a total rocket up her ass yet, but they're going to make a total big deal about her. And I do think the Judgment Day stuff is coming, but I think it's going to be a bit more of a slow burn than anybody likes to see, unfortunately. And speaking of, we had
That's
Finn.
what Triple H does.
He does. He makes things take their time, it seems like, which isn't the worst of things. I mean, we used to complain about there being no long-term storytelling, right?
Sometimes I don't think it's a good thing. I don't know.
Sometimes it's
You're cutting in and out on my end.
no, that's not good. Let me see if I can fix that for you at all while we go ahead and somehow mess around here with the chat. So thank you guys for being here tonight. Knifey Pucka, we got Kratos, Ryan the Heel, and Mr. Pico as well. Poor Paul is just having a bad day. He was listening to the State of Wrestling with myself and Spaz earlier, and then he hit a deer. So glad he's
Oh.
okay, but the car is
Oh dear.
probably, hopefully not.
Sorry.
That's I actually I said the same thing in text form. I was like, that deer had no idea, you know, and it was just, you know, it just
had to fuck around with that a little. Try to make light
I
out of a
tried.
situation to make them
At least he got a nice
feel better a
rental.
little.
He got a nice rental already out of it. So I think it was
Oh,
Spaz's
that's good.
Canadian voice that caused the deer to then go into
Yeah.
a stunned state instead of like, deer in the
Those
headlights. But
Canadian deer.
yeah, oh, of course, because
Oh, yeah.
it's either deer or moose coming out of Canada, and they're trying to
So what?
get out of there before the tariffs
What
come.
happened? Did they hear about tariffs? Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna. We were thinking the same thing.
We're on the
That
same wavelength,
was.
so it was funny.
Right.
I felt terrible, but at the same time, like, well, at least you were listening to the podcast. It was
I
Spaz's
felt
fault, though.
terrible.
Terrible.
Oh, did you?
Oh, da-dum-dum, hey. That's right. We're bringing dad jokes deep tonight, but
Oh yeah, you know it.
we get Finn and JD, and I really, really like their entrance and how it is now. I don't
JD.
know.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
nice. He got.
he's getting
Wow.
some action in the ring there. JD McDonough, Finn Balor taking on the War Raiders, Ivar and Eric. We did have the New Day there briefly. They try to get involved in the match, and they end up getting tossed out. So they get sent packing.
And once again, want to point out a lot during this match. Once again, the chants broke out. We want truth.
Yes, loud
That's
and
dang.
clear. And multiple times throughout did the BOK Center in Tulsa, Oklahoma go ahead.
Keep doing that every week. Let them hear it.
I'm just shocked though in a way because it didn't just happen once. It came organically. It was during some of the down spots, but not even at times. There was a bunch of action going on in this match when they broke out with it. And I really enjoyed what they gave us here. So how's it going?
I'm happy for that too. I
Ryan?
want them to keep hearing it. I want WWE because maybe eventually they'll change their mind. Maybe give them something in WWE to do because it isn't right.
Yeah, maybe. But
See, people are just saying this is just fake outrage. You heard the arena tonight, so those accounts.
it doesn't seem like fake outrage.
Please,
I mean, people love
respectfully,
R-Truth.
shut the fuck up.
What it was is it
Yeah,
was
because
R-Truth and the character of R-Truth that people were so enamored for because he managed
I'm like,
always to shine through. Think about how many things come to mind. Like I'm very forgetful with matches that happen. Like I have to be reminded with my brain malformation and all the time of things. I go ahead and I can recall a lot of great things, like Truth coming out with a ladder when it wasn't a ladder match and starts climbing up in the middle of
yeah,
the ring. Like I said, him declaring for the Rumble. A lot of the
yeah, him entering the
24/7
women's Royal
segments.
Rumble.
Yeah, he
Him
had
wanting a tag into the Royal Rumble. Yeah, so he's always
exactly.
been.
That was great. Him doing all this stuff with Judgment Day, of course, has been mentioned to death, but it's a great point because he made people enjoy comedy and wrestling again, and it made people believe, and that was
And
important.
here's one of the things you can tell this wasn't fake outrage. One, because of the chants tonight, and two, before he was gone from WWE, he was always one of the biggest pops of the night.
Yeah,
That's always.
and I mean, we hear these "We Want Truth" chants over and over and over again. I mean, Instagram is just full of it. Fans chanted "We Want Truth" during Sami Zayn CM Punk segment.
I heard Rhea Ripley had a R Truth shirt on tonight, but they told her to take it off before her backstage segment with But they let Dominic keep his Carlito shirt on.
Yes. I think only because of the Judgment Day factor there is funny enough. But Carlito also has,
I think Rhea should have been able to keep her R-Truth.
Yeah, she should have been able to. But I guess they're trying to smooth things down best they can. And I don't know if the fans are going to get quiet about it at all.
I think get louder.
Pat McAfee, during one of the matches where they were chanting for R-Truth, he went ahead and he says, that's what's up. And it was funny to go ahead and have him give the little wink and a nod, but that's what Pat is great at, throwing in those, those moments. So, yeah.
And that speaking about Pat McAfee, that was funny though with him and Michael Cole.
Yeah, that was a good way to.
How do you think
Raw.
Michael Cole?
So them
then he got the whole crowd to laugh with because they were heard throughout the arena at first, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so they get to be heard
because,
right on.
Right when CM Punk was coming out, Pat McAfee's like, "You look like an asshole," and that got the whole crowd.
It got people excited, so it made me laugh certainly. And as of right now, we'll get into the match with El Grande Americano winning, but we have LA Knight, Penta, Andrade, who is the one on SmackDown, surprisingly enough, Solo Sikoa, Seth Rollins, and El Grande. So that's the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. The women's, we have one spot open still on SmackDown, and we've got Naomi, Rhea, Roxanne, Alexa, and Julia. So Going to be interesting.
Which I like. I like this year that it's a lot more unpredictable, I think.
Yeah. And then, of course, we have the tag match with John Cena and Logan Paul. That's going to be fun to watch, and Lyra and Becky.
Could be turning
So,
John Cena babyface because Logan and Cena were already
right.
arguing.
So you got Cody and Jay. So we'll see we'll see how that goes already. They I doubt they'll lose, but we'll go into our predictions. We'll see if they add any other matches. And yeah, sadly, Ryan, I feel like it might be possible that the Miz, Sheamus, a few people like that will be next. I hope not, but they're always looking at it like there's someone younger, hungrier, stronger, better, whatever way you want to slice it and dice it. But they don't want to keep having to increase these contracts higher and
It
higher.
just
They
makes
don't want to
them.
have the 5 million a year people anymore. They're like Road Dogg's tweet about R-Truth got taken down because they don't want to be called bean counters, but that's what they are. They're a lot of it is not personal. They don't think R-Truth is bad. They don't think he sucks. They're just like, hey, you're how old and you're doing what? It's like, can we pay that? No. All right. If you're not going to take a lesser deal, then we're not going to renew you, kind of thing. And a lot of people, know their value, thankfully. And
And
hopefully they
TKO needs to
can.
understand these people have had a history, and just because how long he's been around, he should get paid more than what he does on TV. And that's just
You would
how it
think,
goes.
but as you
And
were talking about,
especially because how they brag about at the press conference and say how much money they're taking from us, So
I know,
you would think
time
they
and
would
time
listen
again, they
sometime.
give us record-breaking gates, record-breaking gates. Don't you want? Oh, your record-breaking
They make
gates.
people
No
look
one
like
gives a
fools,
shit.
acting like it's an accomplishment. No, they're just laughing at us, like how much money they're stealing from us.
At this point, it feels like it, and we know Triple H is not a fan of the fans. So we heard pretty
He
candidly
said
what
it
he thinks
himself.
about us. Yeah,
Told us to shut the fuck up.
yeah, he thinks we're all pieces of shit. So what are you gonna
He's a
do? We'll
big
sick the Undertaker
nose
on him.
fraud anyway.
I roll. Take the dead man in. But speaking of Judgment Day, we forgot to say that it was because of Roxanne Perez coming out. So she distracts the ref, and that's when JD McDonough goes ahead and he grabs Ivar's beard and snatches it down and pulls him right on top of the hard part of the ring post. And he falls down to the mat. Balor hits the coup de grace, and they get the 3 count. So now they're set for facing the New Day for the Raw Tag Team titles, the World Tag Team titles at some point. Um, you know, it was a little odd because she ejected the New Day. All they did was stand up at that point. They got threatened to have someone thrown into them, and then they stood up. And she's like, I'm not having this. You're out of here. But Roxanne gets up on the apron as a distraction, and she didn't eject her. So that was a little, hey, one doesn't equal the other kind of thing. But didn't take me out of it. A really good tag match. The crowd was wild for all of it. Even the we want our truth, the candid chants that we got. It was good to get a video segment from Rusev, and he was talking about how disappointed he is in Sheamus and how he was stabbed in the back by him. And I'm going to send you home, as the martyr and legend that you are, and you'll be on your back after I take you out, so kind of deal. And then Sheamus follows it up backstage, and he's like, oh, I bully bullies, basically. So, hey, maybe Ryback will come back up as a coach at some point. But good interaction. I'm more excited to see the match. Don't know if this needed to be on Raw. This could have been a YouTube or something special. We did get to see a nice interaction between AJ and Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman says, hey, happy birthday. I just want to let you know, let Seth get the Money in the Bank briefcase. You don't need this. You should be going after Dominic. And AJ's like, are you ever tired of chasing that meal ticket? I'll get back to the IC title, but I don't respond well to kind of threats. And basically he's like, I know enough that what your words are, they're threats. And tell Seth I know all about his plan. Everybody has a plan till, what did they used to say? They get punched in the mouth. So, fun interaction between those two. I enjoyed it. Helped, again, set up more importance on the main event for the men's qualifier. Then we got Lyra. Bird Lady. And she goes ahead, she pops out of the... Oh, yeah, Bird Lady's out there, and the pigeon is cacawing. She tried. She was trying to get angry. She's trying to drum up some emotion, but she couldn't get this great crowd in freaking Oklahoma of all places behind her. And this wasn't Chicago, this wasn't, Madison Square Garden. This was Tulsa chanting for our truth. So it really shows how, beloved he is with the fans. What's going on, Swear Show?
Yep.
But I was I was hoping
Need
for
them to do
more
it
from
during Money in
Lyra.
the Bank so bad.
It's gonna happen. I'm telling you right now, it's gonna happen. I guarantee it. With the LA crowd, I'm sure they'll be hopefully pretty loud and vitriolic, but we'll see. Lyra just didn't grab me here. Like I've been saying for weeks now, I want to believe her. I want to cheer for her. I want to get behind her. I'm just not able to fully buy in. And maybe because
She
you
just
feel like
can't manage to fly yet.
yeah, kind of, and then you also feel like she's unable to. She's like, she's basically kind of unfortunate at this point in time, being overshadowed by Sting in the form of Bailey in the rafters. She's somewhere.
Fair enough.
Bailey's coming. We know Bailey's going to get her revenge. You don't know when, so it feels like the fans are breaking their neck waiting for Bailey to make their return instead of listening to what Lyra has to say. That's a huge part of it. I know. The rest of it, I really I wanted to like it, but it ends up pissing me off. It does. I tried. I tried for weeks now. I really did. I did, Cody. I did. I tried.
I think the title will end up benefiting once it goes on Becky eventually, because I think
It's got to go somewhere, because even with this feud, if she beats her again, she's beaten her already. She's beaten Becky twice. It doesn't really feel like Becky has much of a leg to stand on as far as that goes, like laying claim to the title. Oh, and you're going to raise my hand, and she's lost to her multiple times. Lyra's just not making me believe, and I've tried for weeks now to get into what she's saying, but it always felt meaningless, just
right.
like drivel. Oh, you
That's
hurt
fair.
me. You hurt me so bad because she betrayed you after you won the tag titles and you lost them. Like I guess it just didn't have enough of like the impactful moment of betrayal to really make you feel sorrow and care and have that, obsessive worry of Lyra. Oh no, you poor thing. How dare you get attacked? It was more like, how dare you cost the champ, Becky fucking Lynch, her tag team titles. And then pills are good. I tried to get into her.
Oh yeah.
I couldn't fit.
Oh. Whoa.
We move on.
Oh.
I'm telling you, the women's IC title feels like a prop. Indeed, Cody Ray. It's just a toy. It doesn't feel like this feud is being held up by the great importance that is the IC title, because there's no lineage. There's no, she's it. And so far, she hasn't done a great job at getting over the belt. Why? Because it wasn't even defended at Mania. It hasn't barely been defended at all. They're just not making this title feel meaningful. Zelina's kicking people in the face and breaking noses, at least, I guess. What the hell are you doing? Got to do something.
Oh. Must be a silly El Grande. I need to send you this. He just got into Chad Gable's shoe collection or something.
Oh Jesus. Must have, and that when they wear the same things, it's just because
happen,
they borrow the uniforms, they said, because they're just such similar size. So I believe it.
I think he accidentally rated his
gear.
Accidents happen.
Yeah, the great Bev the Hit Woman Hart held that title. Heartbreak Girl and Mrs. Perfect. Forgot about them. Raw Meets Me hates Snickers. They do. They lay it in thick with that sometimes. I'm sorry. They really do. They go ahead and they just ad nauseum.
Hey, sexy, check your messenger.
I will. So we go ahead, and this is where we get some more fun for the night. We get to Yeaton, and this crowd was all about Yeaton. And see, he's got the CG boots on from El Grande.
Do you think that solves anything, or do you think it was just an accident?
I'm not so sure. I mean, I think they just, they said before that he's borrowing the gear because they're similar sizes. So, there we see it. We see the CG on the boots. If I go to the other evidence, there we go. We had to zoom in. But yeah, I mean, I think he's just borrowing Chad's gear. That's all it comes down to. He needs to can't afford it on his own. And, being a luchador, it's not an easy path. And if you don't get into the right markets, people don't care about you. It's a really hard
Uh,
way to make money.
They're
But
definitely they're still two different people. You can't use that, I guess. Like, sometimes, you accidentally wear somebody else's clothing,
yeah, sorry, Chad's got me
It
cracked up
happens.
tonight too. Yeah, I misread it a little fast too, but he said Snickers. I remember when Mad TV had that great Snickers ad. Oh my god, that thing was hilarious. I miss Mad TV in its like heyday when they had just the dumbest of dumb commercials and silly things, and it felt like such a different time, the anti SNL at that point. But I think a lot of people are yeeted out. I think that's the problem. I think Jay's over for the live crowd to have that interaction because what do crowds want now? They don't care really about babyface and heels. They're not really booing the bad guys. Who gets booed? Charlotte? The
Uh,
fans don't like her anyways. That's why she's getting booed. Even when she was a face, she's getting
yeah,
booed. They're just booing people they really don't like and cheering people they do. Braun Breaker is going to break
because
Sami Zayn's neck.
that's a
Yeah.
great example because yeah, because Braun Breaker gets cheered. Seth Rollins' song's still good. They sing
Bronson
along
Reed
to
is
it.
going to break his
Dominic,
ribs and tsunami him
yep,
19
they
times.
they go fucking nuts.
Fuck me. Let's do it.
I
Yeah.
know.
Desk pop.
Jake Jacob
Yeah.
Fatu's technically still a heel, technically, and he
I,
gets cheered. I mean,
exactly. So
Liv and Dom get cheered,
fans just
and
want
then
to have fun. They want to interact. They want to go nuts. They're there. They're releasing energy. It's like moshing at a frickin' metal show. You're exerting energy. They don't care what happens. They hate Logan and they're going to boo him so they can't hear him. And it happens consistently where the heels. It was fun to boo Dominic. People didn't hate Dominic Mysterio. Now they've gotten to the point where they can't help but cheer him. But the thing is, he could probably crush a kitten in the ring, and he's probably still going to get cheered. And that's because the fans, they just want to interact. They want to have fun. The eating, the what's, all of it. This is awesome chance. Remember how hard it was back in the day to get a true "this is awesome," or we hardly hear it now, but the "you deserve it." We
yep.
got the EO thing going on. Instead, we're getting, these moments. So Jay is over in a live arena. You're seeing thousands of people eating and cheering and all this at the same time. Of course, you're getting into the groundswell of emotion. Of course, you're excited. Of course, you're having fun with it. How could you not? How could you not enjoy it? But is he over? Is he going to retain when it comes to Gunther? That I'm not so sure. Next Monday, we'll be
Let's talk
discussing.
about that real quick.
I know. We've
You want to
got.
talk about that real quick?
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean, this was a great back and forth from them later on tonight. We have them out there. They have the match with Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker, and it was a decent match, but it was all about building heat, of course, because, it's like, oh, they win by DQ, but Seth comes out and he does a big stomp on the floor, and eventually Punk comes out and hits Braun Breaker in the back with a chair before they go ahead and crush poor, Jay and Sammy, and he saves the day. And that's when Seth's like, don't worry about it. You know where Punk's going to be later on tonight. We'll get him then. And eventually we got the backstage interaction. We'll go deeper into with Sammy and Karrion Kross. But here we get Gunther. He walks into Jay's dressing room, uninvited, unannounced.
I like this segment, by the way.
I
I
enjoyed it
actually
as
did enjoy
well.
this.
And he sits down next to the world champ, and he basically just berates him, saying that I'm sure everybody appreciates all of the effort you put into being champion, but you're trying to be a great champion, but you're not, because your head is not in the game. You're not really in this. And that's why I'm going to take the title. I didn't think you would make it so easy for me, but here we are. You're not even at 100% now. And now I know you're going to have CM Punk's back later on. and a tag match this weekend, and you're just making it easier. So Jay wants to stand, his ground, and he smacks Gunther's arm to turn him back around and keep him from walking away. And he goes 3 letters, 1 word, tap. And it was great. I love seeing this side from Jay, the realness of it, the
I like that
grit.
too because you have to have the seriousness as well.
Yes.
Kind of reminds me
the
of
balance.
the New Day. I don't know, because New Day was good at that too, because when they were in promos having fun with the audience, they would be goofy. And then when it was match time, they get serious, and they knew when they get serious. Jey Uso does that too. He likes to dance, yeet, and all that. But when it's time to
Yeah.
get serious, he can
He
lock in
can get
quick.
serious, and he can lock in, but here's the thing, I don't quite yet view him in the realm of what Gunther was as champion.
That's fair. That's fair, and I don't either, because I think Gunther's a way more dominant champion than him, and I don't really even like Jey Uso's world championship run all that much, because all it is a yeet fest every weekend, which I don't mind them doing, because when I went there, it's fun to do.
One more time.
It's fun to do, like when you're there, because I was there at Madison Square Garden. I think
Yeah.
it's fun, but it gets annoying and repetitive after a while as well.
Especially when you're sitting through 4 minutes of him yeeting, then they roll it back.
Like
you
on
get 2 more
SmackDown,
minutes.
they had to rush the whole segment because they had to have a yeet off and all that, and they could have just done that during commercial.
And Liz was
They
there.
could've
She
just-
was loving it, and she went ahead and sent in a bunch of videos. But you're right, because that main event got rushed drastically because of the Yeet Fest. And
I think they could have just done that during commercial instead, so it didn't have to be done on TV. If you get what I mean.
I have heard that as well, Pico. That good old Goldberg himself. The
Here's what I
famous
think
Jewish lawyer.
about Goldberg.
Yeah.
Is Goldberg going to get cheered or booed?
I think he'll get cheered, because from what I'm hearing, Pico's onto something, that they're going to go ahead and do the counter in Atlanta same night as All In, when they have their Great American Bash Atlanta weekend. So with
Gunther
Evolution as
face,
well.
right?
Are
they turning Gunther into a face?
I don't think they're going to. I think Gunther's going to get the title, and maybe they do something against Goldberg. Maybe he doesn't need the title to do it, but it certainly seems like Jay feels like his days are numbered.
Sorry, I was watching the Mets game on the side, muted. Lindor almost hit a home run, but they robbed it, and they jumped up and robbed it.
By that much. But bastards.
They're facing the Dodgers again. They're winning 1-0.
Bastards. And I
it was by his former Met.
Go figure,
okay.
right? It's always the ones that you love the most that get you. Figures every time.
Former teammate. You didn't sign me back. Fuck you.
Exactly. This is when we saw Liv Morgan next. She was backstage, and she's like, "Let me talk to you, Finn. Let me talk to you." And she's like, "Roxanne, she's a cunt. She is. She's a cunt." And that's it. You got to do something about her. I see your plan. I see the chicken. I see the back rubs. I see the shoulder rubs. Interfering in matches. Get that fucking out of here. You hear me? And he's like, "Oh, whoa. What's with all the C word dropping? Maybe you're being a bit of a cunt." And I'm like, "Oh, God." Calling everybody a cunt in this segment. But no, they go ahead and they're battling it out. And she's like, "I see your plan." He's like, "Oh, there's no plan. It's me and JD. We're back on track because of Roxanne, and she can win Money in the Bank. And maybe she came out a little bit strong, but you can trust Dom, and so that's when we saw Dom briefly, and he and Finn kind of do the same, and they kind of did their quick little apology, and Balor's like, "Oh, it's all, water under the bridge" kind of idea. And
he slapped the Intercontinental title, and then Dom looked and smirked, because I think he knows what's up too.
I think he knows as well.
Which see, here's what I don't get, because if Liv and Dom know what's up, is Finn gonna get tossed? Because who's going facing heel, do you think?
I really think it's going to be, like we said, I think it's going to be Liv and Dom going face, because they're going to, able to keep Finn being the heel. He's the mastermind in the background. He gets them kicked out, replaces Liv with, Roxanne. And I do see that, Pico. He says that, Judgment Day being JD and Balor coming in at 1% body fat and under 400 pounds, trying to take on, the super featherweights, as Coot said. trying to, take out the War Raiders. But hey, I wouldn't want Balor stomping me in the chest from the third rope either. So I think we're gonna
No,
see the heel turn, remain on the Balor front. Him and JD, Roxanne, Raquel as well. I think Raquel will be the surprise to some people, stabbing her
and I
friend in the
wonder if that's
back.
why Liv wanted to go out with Raquel. Did was she out there because she knew that would get Io to come? Did she want to distract Raquel? Or
Yeah, I mean,
was
it could
that
have
her?
been the case. So,
Because she knew Kyrie was outnumbered, so maybe Liv knew that
and
Io
Balor
would
did offer
come out.
Roxanne to help out in the match, and she said, "No, I'm going out there with my tag team champion partners." So that's the match we got next. Kyrie Sane, Raquel. Not a great match. They're like,
No,
"Oh, Dom's big time in the Judgment Day. He's not appearing in their corner anymore because he's IC champ." They're trying to make something out of it. So interesting to hear that noted on commentary. They're really trying to play up the story here. But eventually it all came down to Io Sky coming out to take out Liv Morgan, who keeps interfering throughout the match. And I think it was just a errant right hand at one point, but she ends up inadvertently busting open Liv hard way. So she's bleeding ever so
I think the
slight.
last 5 times in a row they were in a match or a physical altercation together, Liv's been busted open.
Yeah, several times now. Just they're not clicking. But eventually, Kyrie hits the insane elbow, gets the win here. I guess Kyrie keeps racking up wins, but not putting on the best performances from her, honestly. This is what, 3 weeks in a row now where she's kind of had this blasé, mistimed, poorly judged, sloppy kind of bout, unfortunately. And it's like, it is weird. I mean, after 3 weeks now, you've had multiple different opponents, different people you faced off with, and each time it's just not worked with Kyrie, and it kind of just has me concerned. So we'll see what happens in the future, but I'm excited about seeing some Karrion Cross. He's in the back with Sammy, and Sammy's with the trainer. He's icing up his shoulder, getting his ass kicked before, as we said, by Braun and Bronson. And Cross was like, "Hey, I'm just concerned about you." And that's when Sammy snaps. He's like, "Why are you obsessed with me? What is this all about?" And he's like, "Because you're a liar. You lie to yourself. You lie to the fans. You lie to me. I know you're capable of doing very bad things to people. You are not a good guy. You're a bad guy, just like the rest of us." And that's when Sammy's like, "You're wrong." And he's like, "Maybe I'm wrong, but maybe I'm right too." And again, the mastermind, the puppeteer coming into play. I'm enjoying it, I just want more. Why is he not wrestling as well? What are they waiting for? Why are they teasing us? I mean, they're selling his merch. We're getting more from him. I don't know if it's enough yet. Come on, guys. We need more Cross on TV. So then, of course, as we mentioned, the gray area of the Jay and Serious Gunther promo. That was a fun back and forth. Then we had the main event. So, fifth match of the night, CM Punk and AJ and El Grande. Triple threat here, facing off to be the last participant in the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. This qualifier was great. Punk makes a huge entrance yet again. The fans go nuts to see him in the main event. Same with AJ, and they give a great response to El Grande in the commercial break as well. Punk even starts it off funny by having El Grande's mask checked by the referee to make sure he's not hiding any iron plates or weapons. And even though it's no DQ, just smart to make sure early on. He doesn't want him having any advantages going into the match. And a really stiff clothesline from Americano to Punk sent him flying to the outside. And that's when El Grande, he hit a few great, moves here. Huge senton off the apron, right onto Punk. And then he hit Styles directly in front of the broadcast table hard. That was great. We got a lot of great back and forth. And then eventually the match goes ahead and you see Punk. He's about to hit the GTS. Oh, he gets it on Americano. He covers him, but Braun Breaker shows up. And there's Bronson Reed, and they pull Punk out of the ring, shades of what happened before we saw with other qualifiers. And we get, eventually Jay and Sammy running down to help. And that's when AJ, does a huge springboard, taking everybody out, and now it's just El Grande in the ring. And Styles tries to hit him with the Styles Clash, but El Grande, the smart bastard, loaded his mask with that metal plate, and he goes ahead and he headbutts him, and then he ends up, he gets the pin while Punk was still being beaten up down at ringside. El Grande Americano defeats AJ and Punk.
Which is not Chad Gable.
Not Chad
and
Gable.
And it says, I know the initials say CG, but there's other wrestlers that could be, who else has that? Chavo Guerrero.
See? So he could be stealing from a lot of people. But people in the chat, let me know, what was your favorite match, moment, segment, whatever from Raw tonight? I did enjoy the Jay and Gunther back and forth. Less of a back and forth, but I like the promo
that, dude.
there.
That was one of my favorite parts of the show.
Really was damn good. The matches here were excellent. I think the women's triple threat was probably match of the night. It was really a showcase for Stephanie, but Liv and Ivy sold like, two hellions trying to put over them, her as best as possible. Liv still
Stephanie and
great.
Liv have chemistry, if you see it. Like Stephanie and Liv have a lot of chemistry.
They're definitely going to make good opponents and possibly partners in the future. Never know what happens if she turns face, and we see what happens there. But the tag match between Judgment Day, Finn and JD taking on the War Raiders, even with the New Day and Roxanne getting involved, was still really competitive. They had some incredible moments. And
all great wrestlers in that ring, so it's gonna.
Yeah, we had a highlight of a match between Braun and Braun taking on Jay and Sammy. The crowd was really big into that.
A lot of good wrestling.
The only thing I guess you could say shitty about it was the DQ finish, but that was to be expected. Yeah. They got a big tag match coming up this weekend with Cody. I kind of wish Cody came out to get involved. I was hoping Cody and
I agree.
Back in the heyday when you had a pay-per-view coming up on the weekend, even when SmackDown was like, fuck it, we got to do something big then too, they would have had Cody and Logan and John Cena and, you know what I mean? Like everybody would have came out here. It should have happened that way.
And you can't use the argument that, it's Cody's on a SmackDown star. Well, Jey Uso was on SmackDown,
exactly,
so Cody Rhodes can return the favor and go to Raw.
Yeah, the draft can go fuck itself at this point,
I really want it to go fuck itself, and if it can officially go fuck itself, here's what I would do. I would have one main men's world title, one main women's world title, one tag team title. I think that's what it should be, because I think multiple titles devalues other championships. I don't know if you agree or disagree.
Yeah, and I'd put the mid-card title on each show. You can do it. You can do one each. Yeah. One mid-card for the women, one mid-card for the men. You could still have it work if you go ahead and have only one main women's champion.
Go fight on Raw. If you want to be United States champion, go over to SmackDown and cash your shot in. But the other titles, there should only be one.
Yeah. Yeah, one women's champ, one world champ. That's
because that makes it more valuable. That means
undisputed, however they want to say it. Exactly. You're absolutely right. But even the tag match was fun. Kyrie and Raquel was what it was. It was more about the story. Hopefully Liv's okay. Go ahead and knock her block off.
Yeah.
And then of course the main event was a lot of fun. I like the timing and pacing of Raw tonight too.
Raquel or Kyrie there, because this is 3 weeks in a row now.
Yeah, that's what I was saying before. She just doesn't look great.
Sloppy.
Yeah, again, like that was kind of the negative. Kyrie,
because you can't blame Rhea or Liv, because Rhea and Liv are two great pro wrestlers. Raquel's all right, but
she's had multiple bad outings now. I don't know if it's just because she had so much time off. She's only wrestling once a week, and it's going to take some time for her to get back into the swing of things. I'm not sure, but I was never crazy about Kyrie Sane to begin with. I liked Asuka over Kyrie always, and then Io above them both.
Asuka's miles, leagues, centuries,
ahead of Kyrie.
Whatever. Yeah, by all means. No offense to Kyrie, but Asuka's a way better pro wrestler.
And
Io,
I think is better than Asuka.
Like
honestly,
I agree with that too.
I've really enjoyed, Io Sky. I think it's fun with her taking the women's world title to new heights.
I hate to
pun
say
intended.
It. Hot take. I think Kyrie is overrated.
Do you? See, I don't. I think she's really earned her spot with this women's world title. She had that probably the best triple threat women's match in the history of Mania with Bianca and Rhea.
Kyrie.
No, Io. I'm saying, yeah. Io.
Oh no, Io's great. I said Kyrie's overrated.
Oh, you broke up for me there. Yeah, I thought you said
Oh
Io. No, Kyrie. Yeah,
no,
Kyrie's always
no,
been
I would.
overrated in my book. I didn't
You would
love
have
her with the
to
Mae Young
arrest me if I
Classic.
said Io.
Yeah, don't mind me with my, absent-mindedness. But yeah, Io, I love. Kyrie, I've never been crazy about. I didn't like her in the Mae Young Classic, and then with NXT, I didn't get it with her. I mean, she was good, but I felt like there was so many other women that were so much better. So I didn't know why we would take the lesser with her. Is she terrible? No, not by any means, but certainly not one of my favorites. I am worried that Jey Uso is losing the title to Gunther. The more I think about it, the more I think, because why set this up
Well,
on
do
a
you think they're gonna
Raw?
do Gunther versus Goldberg for the world title?
They could, they very well could, because it's going to be a retirement match, and then Gunther wins and goes to SummerSlam, destroying Goldberg. Does Goldberg have to win his last match? I don't know. There was a point in time where Goldberg said that if he did retire, he would want to go out on his shield, on his back, putting somebody over. Does he stick with that, or does he, nail in that creative control? But they are going to be in Atlanta. The last time they were for Bad Blood, we saw him there in the arena, and that's when him and Gunther had that exchange. It kind of lines up perfectly. Why else? Why is this title match not at Money in the Bank? Oh, because Jay's already busy there. All right, so they're waiting, and like you said, I wish we knew that Jay was busy before Gunther said he was going to get the title shot on Raw. But whatever. Hey, I think at this point in time that for it being scheduled on a random episode of Raw after a massive pay-per-view that is Money in the Bank, there's a reason for it. And Jay is going to lose that title and yeet no more, because it's going to be a learning curve for him. You got to be a champion. You got to be a little selfish. I think it's just the plans with Goldberg coming up. Atlanta, all of it. We've been saying it for a long time now. He's going to retire, and when this happens, we'll see him, and then we can say la vie. I've never been a big Goldberg, overall fan myself, but he's certainly one of the lower on the totem poles for me. He was hyped, and certainly to a great extent, it was the lore of him and being undefeated, and then WCW kept adding numbers, and people, would argue with the count, and it just kind of turned ridiculous. But you saw him in when he went to WWE and they bought out WCW and whatnot, and eventually he came through. Couldn't cut it with a regular match. Like, if he wasn't in there sub 2 minutes, like his return against Brock Lesnar and having that shock victory. Oh my God, spear, jackhammer, pinfall, 40 seconds. Ha! And people were going nuts. It was like, all right, who's next? And it was The Fiend. Yeah, you just got to spam him. Oldberg. I agree. But I'm not
Oh
looking
yeah.
forward to it. But I think that's why they're doing this on the random Raw after Money in the Bank. So I do remember when William Regal made him cry all the way back in WCW by making him wrestle for longer than 3 minutes. Yes. All in all, tonight, a lot of people feel like the Americana gag isn't clicking. I think it's great. Some people said their worst case, nightmare scenario is Chad as Americana winning and getting the Money in the Bank briefcase. I don't see him winning. I don't think it would be the worst thing, though. Chad as a, champion could be great. He certainly could. And it goes along with the storyline and him with the lucha stuff and being unmasked. And even tonight, Punk trying to take his mask off. Chad's a really great worker, so he's going to make the ladder match better. I'm glad he's qualified and included. I'm just still I'm still set behind Gunther, possibly, most likely, probably beating Jay for the world title on Raw next week. We'll be talking about everything Money in the Bank this Wednesday on Into Somewhere Weekly. We'll be talking about upcoming plans, what's going on this weekend with the Worlds Collide and Money in the Bank reviews, as well as future plans. We'll be talking about what they've got going on and planned for the Great American Bash over on the NXT side of things. So we'll have a lot to discuss this upcoming Wednesday. We'll be live there also with the NXT review. I know, Cody, you went ahead and said at the end tonight that you had some really big money in the bank news as well that you wanted to get to at the end. So before we sign off, we'll get to you for that. But please let the people know where they can find you, my friend.
You can find me, before we get into that, you can find me over on my Twitter or X, whatever you like to call it nowadays, at Judgment Day Era. And you can find me over on my Instagram at Cody_Onidi_316.
Absolutely. And you can find me here on the Countdown Ended YouTube channel. Go ahead and find me on Twitter/X at Countdown Ended, as well on Instagram and Rumble. Thank you for those that are following along over there. But Cody, let's get right into it. What's your massive news for the night?
Yeah, so a big return
Really,
is
it
going
Money
to
in
be
the Bank.
happening.